I think we've all had brushes with Stardumb over the years. I certainly have. From the day that I saw Nick Nolte on that ferry in San Francisco, to the day that I saw that bloke from Dragon's Den, from the day, of course, that I met the Chuckle Brothers, and the day that I met Timmy Mallet. God, I've had brushes with Fame Me and Stardumb, but one man who has an ongoing brush with Stardumb is the creator and owner of Stardumb Records, Stefan, who lives in the Netherlands, from where he runs Stardumb Records, which he's done for the past 15 or 20 years or so. All the way back, he's got bands on the label, fantastic bands such as the Groovy Ghoulies, releases from the Accelerators, the Apers, the Manges, Pee-wees, through the modern fantastic new bands like Lone Wolf. Stardumb Records really has a fantastic ensemble of fantastic bands on his label, and hopefully we can find out a little more about Stardumb Records today. So Stefan, tell me some of the history of Stardumb Records. Thank you very much, Stefan!
Well, I was running a different label in the late 90s with two friends, and even though we put out stuff by bands like the Apers, the other two guys didn't really want to be a punk rock label. Kevin Aper and I were doing a zine at that time called Stardumb, and we started talking about doing a label together, and so we did. That was in 2000, so next year will be Stardumb's 20th anniversary. Kevin quit Stardumb in 2003 though, because he was too busy with the Apers and watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff like that. So I continued on my own with the occasional help of friends like Jerry Hormone and You Remember. But yeah, I was putting out stuff at a crazy pace and on the road a lot as well, which didn't work out too well. Financially, the label turned out to be a losing game for me, so something had to change. And in 2005 I started a new company with my family, publishing children's books. That worked out better financially, but was also very time consuming, so for a good while I had to slow down the label, putting out like 1 or 2 releases a year. But in the last few years I've been finding more time and energy for the label again, so I'm actually back at putting out records at a crazy pace. Just more organized and less touring to keep myself sane.
Incredible! Very incredible. But Stefan, can you also tell me a little about Stardumb Records' logo? I know that you have a bit of a history in the art field, in the field of artistry and design, but tell me about the logo, would you?
It's just something that I made because we needed a logo. I don't think I gave it much thought. I mean, I was really digging 50s typography and hand lettering back then, so I guess I tried something inspired by that. And I remember I based it on some existing font, but I don't remember the name of it. But I hand drew it, and even though I find most stuff I made back then pretty hard to look at these days, I think the logo holds up pretty well.
Say about Stefan and Stardumb. Wow, it goes back pretty far. I met him in 2000 and 2001, my first time going to Europe. I don't remember much about him then. I just remember liking him. When I met the Apers, I also met him. He really sticks out more in my mind when I traveled the US with the Manges, and he dared to come along with us and take part in that crazy debate in which the Italians like to talk at each other for hours and hours every single day, arguing and then hugging. And Stefan and myself were pretty much the cool managers, so I had gained a lot of respect for him then.
Great! And now, Now I'm thinking about all the different bands and fantastic albums that you've got on Stardumb Records, which really is quite an incredible library. Which of the bands or which of the albums are you most pleased with? What are you most proud of as a release?
Man, tough question. I mean, there's so many. We kicked off great with the Huntington's Darlington split LP as our second release, actually. I really have to thank Bruce and Lou, who ran Melted Records in New York back then, for that. They released that one on CD and trusted us on doing the vinyl version, even though we barely started as a label. September 2001 we released the debut album of the Mengees, the Apers and Dead End City by the Pee-wees. Can you imagine that? 3 European classics in a row. Freaks on Parade by the Ghoulies, definitely. That was the first thing we did with them and opened so many doors for us. Super important release for the label. Career Objective by the Methadones. That's one of my favorite albums of the century. So to be able to put that out, something special. The list goes on, man. It's hard. This is all old stuff, and I guess it's easier to name those because if a record stays with you for 60 years or longer, then it must be something special. But I love all the new stuff I'm doing right now. There's some releases I've lined up that for me rank among the best stuff that I've put out. So yeah, for me those are classics in the making. We'll see what happens.
And how has Stardumb Records done over the years? Has it become what you envisioned it would have done when you started it?
Well, no. Not at all, actually, if you're talking about my naive expectations when starting the label. I was 24 back then and had done quite a few things already, which made me think that I knew a lot. So I figured if I take those experiences and work really hard, I'll be able to build a label that really matters. And I guess the label does matter to some people, but it's a small group of people, while at that point I thought if I love this band so much, then there will be many people that can also love this band just as much. While at this point in time I'm aware that it's often quite the contrary. Plus there's other things, of course. The importance of distribution, stuff like that. I still had to learn about it, and that made the outcome different from the expectations. But if I look at the label right now, I'm very fond of it, very thankful of all the friendships and the great memories, and I see a long list of releases that I'm very proud of, and yeah, I think it's something. I guess we need to lose so we can grow. I don't believe it goes as you want me every day. When I see the stars, I get so bent out of shape.
Hi, I'm Dan. I play in Four Lights. We recently put out Kobayashi and Maru on Stardumb Records. Working with Stefan and Stardumb was just a wonderful experience. He was very excited to work with us, and we were very excited to work with him. It's just thank you very much for helping us out. We appreciate it. We'll see you in Rotterdam.
I flippin' love Stardumb Records a lot. But let me tell you, I'm fairly interested in what it's like around there. Could you give me a little tour around the Stardumb Records?
Yeah, sure. Like I said before, I run a children's book publishing firm with my family, and I run the label out of the studio where I make the illustrations for those children's books. Those books are about this character named Borra right here, and over the years we made a shitload of books about him. The stories are actually written by Jerry, who is the guitarist of The Windowsill these days. and we used to be in the Raging Hormones, the Apers, etc. So yeah, this is where I make the illustrations, and when I have some time left, I'll work on the label, which is actually hiding behind the beach right here. And yeah, check it out. There's some Stardumb records, a bunch of stuff from the distro, and that's pretty much it.
Much for your time, Stefan. See you next time. Stardumb Records, go and check out their website. They've got an exhaustive store on there full of fantastic records, and also a very good distro with loads of albums and 7-inches and CDs, posters, books, all sorts of things from themselves and from other companies. Like there's some eccentric pop releases on there, Monster Zero, all sorts of stuff on this store. It's very good. Go and have a look at the Stardumb Records web store now, if you want to, otherwise don't. But also check out their Facebook, their Instagram, blah blah blah, all this stuff. They've got really cool stuff. Okay, see you next time. Stardumb time is here!
I'll have to say that for Stardumb, being influenced by hardcore punk and jokecore and starting Weasel, you know, I thought we were, I don't know, doing something different. So when I started hearing the Stardumb records, I was like, oh, this is nice. You know, it's kind of like a dedication to from where we came from and from the music we were doing. But I didn't really respect it as much in the beginning days. I don't know why. I wasn't willing or able or smart enough to look deeper into his catalog. But as the years progressed, I gained more and more respect for the bands that were on his label, as I started digging deeper into the tracks themselves, like the Apers and the Manjis. And then I think overall Stefan has always stayed the same over all these years. And I mean that in a positive way. Many labels, once they get a bit of success, you know, the people start changing a bit, start getting a little bit more cynical or sarcastic or a little bit more money hungry. Whereas Stefan has always maintained being one of the most wonderful people you can find in punk rock. One of the most respectful, understanding, and even willing to make interesting and unique choices and taking chances like he's doing with Even in Blackouts. I truly believe that he likes the band and appreciates that we're doing something different. And that makes me very proud to be working with him. He's such a great guy and an amazing artist too. He's a well-rounded creator.
Stand by for a preview of some 2019 Stardumb Records releases, followed by an overview of Stardumb's very good library. Make sure you don't disconnect or discontinue your very good viewing. thank you ever so much for watching my very good video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Very Good channel and come back next week for another very good video. A video to watch. Now, it's a good video.